Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today is Monday, which means it's time for an episode of Loadout, the series where you guys, the viewers, get to pick a gun and customization for me to use. The way you do this is you leave a comment down below, letting me know what kind of weapon and accessories you'd like me to run with. Now we'll look through these comments, pick one of the top rated comments, and use it for my next episode of Loadout. Now today's top comment comes from DMG3538. He says, Star Wars setup. Gun A-91 with laser and iron sights. Secondary Captain Rex blaster, the Rex Swarmer / RPG. I assume he means the MP412 Rex, which is a great pistol. Love it for secondary. EOD bot for R2D2, and I do have some EOD bot kills coming up later in this video. Use the knife a lot as the lightsaber. Small spelling issue there with lightsaber, but what it means is light as in photons, saber as in sword, so you have a light sword. That's what the whole lightsaber thing means. Not to get all geeky on you there. Thanks a lot, good viewer, DMG. And I appreciate the creative loadout suggestion this time around. I always love equipping the A-91, although I'm not a big fan of its reload time, just the look of the gun. And I've just got this sort of sweet spot for bullpup weapon designs. I think it's such a neat concept. And the A-91 is just a really interesting looking gun with the top rail much like a FAMAS, same bullpup style as the FAMAS, but it's just got some weird right angle designs in there, and then an angled magazine insert. It's just a unique looking gun with a funny pistol grip on it too. In real life, the A-91 is a Russian weapon, and the FAMAS was designed by the French, although they look similar, designed by completely different manufacturing companies. And I don't think the A-91 has really seen a lot of production in terms of how many units they've made and distributed, but it is used among like certain Russian special forces units and that sort of thing. What is interesting about the portrayal of the A-91 in Battlefield 3 is that it's classified as a carbine, and for the most part when I was looking at this gun it seems to be classified as an assault rifle in real life. And on top of that, in most situations it seems to be integrated with a front-mounted grenade launcher. Like there's a special grenade launcher designed specifically to be integrated with the A-91. So it would have been interesting to see what the A-91 would have been like were it classified as an assault rifle, and then you had the grenade launcher attachment option there. Could have been a totally different looking gun, different performing weapon. Now, regardless of how the A-91 was classified and how it performs in Battlefield 3 compared to perhaps the real life performance of the weapon, there's one thing for sure, is that it's great for hip firing. Now that's because of the bullpup design and how Battlefield 3 portrays bullpup weapons. So if you got a great hip firing gun and then you go ahead and put a laser sight on there, you're gonna have an even better hip firing gun. Which is great because for this specific loadout, I'm supposed to be using the iron sights, and these iron sights kind of suck. I mean, you got this big old gun body right below these tiny little iron sights, so you often lose your target, especially once the muzzle flash starts flaring up and somebody sort of runs to the left or runs to the right. You easily lose your target and end up spraying down an area where nobody's standing anymore. So having any sort of sight on here probably would have been a lot better than the iron sights. However, if you're playing in a close quarter map like Zeba Tower here, you can just pretty much hip fire this thing all day. Long range, however, you are going to want to try and aim down sights, and that's kind of where the A-91 starts to fall apart. Now, similar to the MTAR-21 and the QBZ-95B, this gun has a hip fire spread of 1.5, which is very low. In fact, it's tied with those other two weapons for having the lowest hip fire spread of any of the carbines out there. So that's where this gun benefits. But when it comes to long range accuracy, this gun has a side-to-side recoil of 0.5 pull left, 0.5 pull right. Now, not only is this side-to-side recoil the highest side-to-side recoil out of any of the carbines available to the engineer, but having an equal pull on left and right is really bad for long range, because what it means is that you're going to have a hard time controlling that recoil. Now you might be thinking, why would having equal pull on left and right be a bad thing? Wouldn't that just mean that the gun's going to eventually balance itself out and kind of give you a center looking view at the end? And you are right in that aspect, except that the times where it's bouncing around between center are going to be completely unpredictable and very hard to control. Now if you have a gun that pulls really hard to say the right, you know that you're going to have to pull a little bit on the left when you're firing the weapon to keep the target center. But if you have a gun that pulls really hard in both directions, it's going to bounce to the left, bounce to the right in an unpredictable manner, so you're not going to really be able to anticipate. Now check it out, R2-D2 is actually getting some work done here. I thought I would try it out on No Shark Canals a little bit, and I end up going on a little bit of a kill streak after using the EOD bot. But it is fun getting kills with the EOD bot. It's goofy. It can actually be very devastating to tanks. It always cracks me up when you drive an EOD bot up to a tank and like take away all its health in a matter of seconds. I don't know what kind of blowtorch he has on there, but to be able to get through that kind of tank armor in seconds is pretty impressive. Now I thought if I'm going to get some EOD bot kills, I may as well go around back here. May as well try out my half-pipe skills while I'm at it. This thing drives so weird. It's really hard to control. I recommend trying to drive it from the outside, and then when you get up close to a guy, then you can switch to your internal camera to try and get the kill. And this recon had no idea what's going on, and what's even funnier is this next guy here knows what's going on, and he just completely fails at hitting me with a pistol. So I kind of scare him a little with a little tase from this guy, and then I'm going after him, and he's just missing the shots. That is embarrassing. Once you're aware of an EOD bot and you start shooting at it, and if that thing catches you and kills you, that is just such an insulting kill. Probably the worst way to die. So sorry about that, buddy, but I was enjoying every second of that EOD bot kill streak. Alright, let's round out the A-91 discussion here, because we've sort of established that it's not good at long range. Okay, so don't use the A-91 for long range combat. It's awesome for hipfire, so a laser sight is a great decision for attaching to this weapon, but how does it compare with, say, the other bullpup carbines out there? Because you've got the MTAR and the QBZ-95B, both which offer really good hipfire accuracy and even better hipfire accuracy once you equip a laser sight on there. So let's talk about the differences between those weapons. And the A-91 has a pretty respectable rate of fire at 800 rounds per minute. Of course, it can't compete with the MTAR's 900 rounds per minute. Of course, the MTAR blows through its magazine a lot faster, so that's sort of the trade-off. The QBZ-95B shoots at 650 rounds per minute, which is pretty slow, definitely on the slow end. But then again, the QBZ is a little bit more accurate at range and has more manageable recoil. So you do have the option to actually take out targets at longer range, where the A-91 might start to suffer quite a bit in those longer range encounters. Now, oddly enough, the MTAR seems to fare pretty well at long range also, which isn't looking so good for the A-91, because at least the QBZ and MTAR can, in a pinch, get a long range kill if they need to. The A-91 can get those long range kills, but I would say it's a far less effective weapon at range than the other two. On the plus side, the A-91 does have a 2.62 second short reload, which might seem kind of long, but for bullpup weapons, it's a little bit on the fast side, especially with the MTAR's 3-second short reload time. However, the long reload time for the A-91 clocks in at 3.3 seconds, which is tied with the MTAR. So if you do expend your 30-round magazine, you're going to be getting a pretty lengthy reload. So I would like to say that the A-91 sort of strikes a middle ground between the MTAR and the QBZ-95B, except that it loses a lot of its effectiveness at range. So if you're just going for short range kills with a laser sight, then it's fine for striking the middle ground, but you might have a little bit more versatility with a weapon like the MTAR. I'm a pretty big fan of the MTAR, to be honest. I think it's a great gun in this game, so it is hard to compete with it. All in all, though, the A-91 is an absolutely great gun for close quarter hip firing action as long as you got that laser sight on there, and I recommend trying it out. So that pretty much wraps it up for this episode of Loadout. Don't forget to leave your comments down below letting me know what you'd like me to run with for the next week's episode. And I'll see you guys next time. This is LevelCap, signing off.